Hi, I'm Tom Holloway, a Principal Business Resilience Consultant with Sungard Availability Services based in the UK. I work with organisations of all sizes, helping them plan for disruption to their business as usual operations. In this webinar, recorded on Wednesday, the 18th of March, I shall address the importance of considered and coordinated communications in times of disruption and crisis, specifically in light of the spread of the novel coronavirus COVID-19, although the principles are applicable for any crisis. In times of trouble and crisis, we can be overloaded with information from official sources, governments, NGOs, traditional news channels, and social media. The COVID-19 epidemic, now pandemic, is no exception. In addition to the trusted sources of information, there are numerous other feeds on social media providing all sorts of misinformation. COVID-19 has spawned countless conspiracy theories, hoaxes, and falsehoods. In February, the World Health Organization highlighted their concerns of the infodemic. Stories have emerged that it is a malign plot by Bill Gates or George Soros, a chemical weapon, a giant hoax, or indeed cured by garlic, vitamin C, or cannabis. These stories have been seen by millions around the world. The rapid and largely uncontrolled spread of information going viral on social media has a real effect, creating confusion or providing a false sense of security. And the impact can be seen with uncertain citizens and panic buying. And as the BBC's media editor, Amal Rajan, recently noted, there is a clear dichotomy between authoritative, very widely trusted sources, such as the BBC and CNN, and crackpot conspiracy sites like InfoWars. Perhaps now is the time for social media distancing. What makes a crisis different? Crises are usually things that happen to other people. We see them on the news, but it's only a tiny proportion of the population who ever get embroiled. All crises create a sense of fear and uncertainty for those involved. There may not be any written procedures to deal with it, with normal lines of communication disrupted. There may be confusion and lack of clarity over what's actually happening. So what? The current pandemic is no different. COVID-19 and the measures being imposed by countries around the world impact the vast majority of citizens. Amongst the noise, in times of crisis, all business leaders have a responsibility to provide clear and relevant information to their staff and those they work closely with to provide reassurance and demonstrate that they have robust measures in place to guarantee their business continuity. According to Edelman research out this week, staff are more likely to trust their employers than government officials or journalists. Acknowledging this, communications should reference the latest official guidance, which we know can change quickly in the face of rapidly changing circumstances. Calm leadership is what people are seeking in times of trouble, and crisis communications needs to be perfectly pitched to avoid any hubris. So looking at some general principles of crisis communications. Be prepared, as everyone knows, is the Boy Scout motto. The effective work is completed before crisis strikes, when you have time available. We accept that time is probably not available now, so you need to make best use of the time that you do have. Consider internal communications as your top priority. Coordination. Experience shows that acting quickly and decisively in times of crisis is critical. This requires leadership from the top and functional coordination. Integration. Your communications teams need to be embedded at the heart of your business and should be represented at senior leadership level. And finally here, be imaginative and unconventional in your processes. I'll now go into a little bit more detail on each of these four shoulds. What will you say, to whom, when, and how? Activities such as stakeholder analysis, media training for senior leaders, and clearing of provisional media and stakeholder statements can all be achieved in advance. When identifying and selecting spokesmen, it is the audience's perception that is key. They should be suitably senior executives with gravitas, suitable experience, and be seen to be in a position where they will positively influence the outcome. Over-prepared spokespeople lack authenticity as they seem too polished to those whose lives have been upturned. Finally here, listening provides you with the understanding of the issues and concerns facing staff, clients, and other stakeholders. Always build trust and seek to be as transparent as possible. Due to being preoccupied with resolving the developing situation in times of crisis, senior executives may shy away from the opportunity to reassure not only customers, but more importantly, staff. However, as members of an orchestra look to the conductor to set the tone and pace, in any crisis, we instinctively seek leaders who take charge to put things right, and experience shows that acting quickly and decisively in times of crisis is critical. In the business environment, suitably reassured staff continue to believe in the firm and work hard to deliver on commitments made by management. Empowered and trusted by senior leadership, employees will be motivated to work through the situation effectively. Engaged and on-message staff interacting with and reassuring your clients and other stakeholders are a powerful force, resulting in the recovery process being quicker and less painful for everyone. You will not know how effectively your team of executives and functional heads will operate in times of crisis unless they've been put through their paces. Sungard Availability Services runs crisis management exercises using a broad range of scenarios for clients in a wide range of sectors. This training, support and validation will provide your business with the confidence that you're as well prepared as you can be. We appreciate you may not have time for this, but we can also provide on-site or remotely delivered support to leadership teams during the crisis, bringing our broad experience to good effect. Your communication team needs to be embedded at the heart of your business, and as I said earlier, should be represented at senior leadership levels, thus ensuring that they have a sound grasp of your business processes, the risks and the threats, and that they are suitably trusted, empowered, and ready to respond rapidly in times of uncertainty. Your communications team needs to understand the potential impact on different stakeholders, staff, clients, customers, suppliers, regulators, investors, and the rest of them. They also need to know who to go to get the answers. A trusted network based on honest engagement and easy access will help when you need to communicate urgently. Procedures, authorities, and delegations for message release should be agreed up front to ensure that you're able to respond quickly as and when required. The last of my four shuns, imagination is by no means the least important, as Einstein noted. You should use your imagination on several levels. Firstly, consider the evolving threats to your business. Taking COVID-19 as the obvious threat, its impact, whilst forecasted by the brightest medical and scientific minds in the country, remains uncertain. Leadership teams should be considering worst and most likely cases, the effect on your business, and determine appropriate mitigating actions. Historically, whilst COVID-19 currently dominates the headlines, in the long run, disruptions to building services are more likely to cause your business major problems. Last year across Europe, more than 8 out of 10 Sungard Availability Services workplace invocations were caused by disruption to communications, power, and hardware failure. So in addition to the loss of people as a consequence to the virus, be sure to consider the impact of loss of sight, loss of access, loss of key services, loss of information, and loss of technology. And also, with increased remote working and reliance on that, you should consider the impact of network access problems and malware on remote working staff. Be imaginative and unconventional in your processes. In his book, Team of Teams, General Stanley McChrystal argues that the speed and interdependence of the current world have rendered the traditional ways of doing business ineffective. Rather than a cascade of information seen in traditional hierarchical organizations, he advocates shared situational awareness to ensure rapid passage of information, ensuring that the whole team is connected and working to the unifying purpose. In times of crisis, these networked, flexible, agile, and resilient mixed competency teams are often formed to resolve the problem. Perhaps regrettably for the businesses concerned, these teams are often returned to their functional silos after the dust has settled. Looking now at some of the stakeholders, Senior leadership needs to manage expectation in light of the changes to business process. And this will be done by communicating with stakeholders. And I'll be listing some generic ones below, although your businesses will have specific demands. Internal communications. We've touched on the need for leadership to provide reassurance to employees. We see many of our clients moving to remote working for their staff, and this requires staff to configure the laptops and understand the remote access protocols. Do staff need and have they got access to two-factor authentication? What are the contact details of the IT help desk and its hours? Changes to contact details, sickness reporting, attendance on virtual or routine team calls, all needs to be considered. Suppliers, as you modify your business processes in the face of official advice and direction, what impact will this have on your suppliers and wider partners? Are your suppliers going to meet your business expectations in the face of disruption? How will customers contact you? Will your normal contact center staff be working remotely? Will you be operating a reduced service? The messaging from websites, your social media channels and contact centers all needs to be coherent and up to date. Investors and shareholders will be very keen to understand the implications of your actions, as will the regulator. In highly regulated sectors, it may not be permitted to conduct some activities from home, perhaps such as trading. Are there any existing or required dispensations? So in summary, you'll need to consider the following building blocks when putting together your crisis communications response. Have clear, straightforward processes in place. Have teams who are prepared, alive to changes, and a proactive approach to messaging. Communicate quickly and appropriately, providing links to official information where relevant. Your staff trust you to look after them, and you should seek to reassure them in these difficult times. Speak honestly, do not mislead or lie. It will all come out in the end. Keep track of what is happening everywhere. Monitor official sources of information. Consistent, clear, and accurate messaging is essential. Use the facts and avoid spreading rumors and speculation. Be human, approachable, and compassionate. Encourage feedback to understand the pressures being faced by staff as they work remotely. And have a regular cadence of communication. Release what is known. Communication little and often is much better than too much, too late. A final thought. The quote here from the UK government's communications service really sums this up. Meeting the crisis challenge is not only about saying the right things and saying them quickly. It is overwhelmingly about preparing an organisation to react well when the unexpected happens. The timeliness and quality of your crisis communications, both internal and external, will be a reflection of your organisation's resilience in normal times and during the current COVID-19 pandemic. If you want further information about how Sungard Availability Services can assist you, then please go to our website, www.sungardas.com, or call the country-specific numbers shown on this screen. Our dedicated staff are ready to take your calls. This webinar has been pre-recorded on Wednesday, the 18th of March. It will be available on demand, so you're welcome to share it with colleagues and friends. Thank you for your time today.